and it's all good. Grand Rising and welcome to the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. Today is July 14th, 2024, and we're continuing our July series, Practice Makes Imperfect. And our topic today is leaning into imperfection. You are cradled and loved by presence. And by presence, we mean the indwelling spirit that is in all of us. I begin with this quote from Ernest Holmes, which he writes in the Holmes Papers, Volume 2, on page 37. You don't have to despise your personality or say, I hate this body. I am a worm of the dust, and think you are surrendering to God. When you deny yourself, you deny God. All we have to say is, there is nothing in me but God. There is nothing in me but God. And expanding on this, I believe what Holmes is saying to us is that by acknowledging there is nothing in me but God, we shift our perspective away from our flaws and imperfections, and we unlock the transformative power of embracing imperfection. And we discover profound possibilities and cultivate self-acceptance. On our journey this week, the teachings of Science of Mind invite us to lean deeper into embracing imperfection as a transformative experience. And at the heart of this journey lies the understanding of self-worth. And I think that self-worth underlies many of our so-called problems in life. This belief that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy. Our worthiness is inherent simply by the act of being born. I'll say that again. Our worthiness is inherent simply by the fact of being born. Imagine starting each day by saying, there is nothing in me but God, and my worthiness is inherent simply by the act of being born. Let us say that together. There is nothing in me but God, and my worthiness is inherent simply by the act of being born. How does that resonate? How does that feel with you? I know it gives me a lightness, a feeling of lightness to know that the worthiness that I have, because I am an expression of God, that worthiness cannot be damaged or taken away by anyone or anything. And when we open ourselves to this world of infinite possibilities, we shift our perception and our perspective and recognize that everything in existence, including what we perceive as flaws, is divinely perfect within us and also around us. Excuse me. Ernest Holmes shares his wisdom with us in the Science of Mind textbook on page 121, paragraph 3, where he says, there is but one mind. Each individual is a unique variation in the universe. No two people are alike, yet all people are rooted in that which is identical. And the idea that Holmes is sharing with us here is what we perceive as our imperfections are not shortcomings. What we perceive as imperfections are not our shortcomings. Each individual has their unique imperfections, and our uniqueness is what contributes to the wholeness of the divine expression. Our imperfections are essential aspects of our being. They enrich the mosaic of life, adding unique colors and shapes and bringing forth a greater appreciation of the depth and the breadth of the human experience. Our awareness allows us to find beauty in imperfection, inspiring us to embrace our unique qualities. Transformation invites us to focus on oneness, wholeness, and connectivity. And let's look at each one of these as an idea. Oneness, beginning with oneness. Through the lens of oneness, we understand that divinity encompasses the entire spectrum of existence and does not imply sameness or uniformity. Oneness, when we look at oneness through the lens of divinity, we recognize that oneness encompasses the entire spectrum of existence and does not imply sameness or uniformity. It encompasses the diverse expressions of existence, including our imperfections, and we recognize each individual as a unique contributor to the wholeness and to the divine tapestry of life. And I offer to you this morning that this is a concept that is worthy of our attention. This idea that oneness does not mean sameness, that it recognizes our uniqueness. So taking a look at wholeness, as we look through the lens of wholeness, we see that imperfections become threads that weave together a tapestry of beauty and self-discovery made of all of the pieces. And this tapestry reminds us of the infinite possibilities that unfold when we release the constraints of perfection. And as I was reflecting on this definition of wholeness and this idea that all of the beauty and the uniqueness of this tapestry is woven together of all of the pieces, I was thinking back to my ordination as a minister of religious science and science of mind. And in the description of the ordination stole, which is linen on one side and satin on the other. The linen represents for those of you who are familiar with fabric, linen is not a smooth fabric. It has what some might call flaws, but it has different textures to it. And so those textures remind us of the bumps in the road that we may hit. Reminds us that the road is not always smoothly paved. And on the other side of the stole is the satin that reminds us that our connection with God, and that's why it is worn close to the body, that our connection with spirit is unending and that it is smooth. And so those two working together hand in hand create this tapestry of life where all of the pieces fit together. And this was just a visual that came to me. And this leads us to saying again that our imperfections are not shortcomings. To the degree that we recognize and celebrate the variety and the breadth of the human experience, we develop an appreciation for the intricacies and complexities of our existence. And thirdly, we look at connectivity. Connectivity reminds us that we are not separate from the universe. We are intimately connected to it. We are not isolated beings. And we remember to embrace our flaws, knowing everything is divinely perfect within and around us, acknowledging our worthiness. And it takes us back to the practice of saying each day, there is nothing in me but God, and my worthiness is inherent simply by the act of being born. Embracing our perfections allows us to honor our oneness, our wholeness, and our connectivity as part of the grand symphony of creation. And I'm going to conclude with a story that illustrates embracing the mosaic of life. July the 18th, which is this Thursday, is Nelson Mandela's birthday, and it is also known as Nelson Mandela Day. It was declared Nelson Mandela Day in 2009 by the United Nations. And this is an international day to honor Nelson Mandela and to recognize that each individual can make an impact and have the power to transform the world. Nelson Mandela Day. Thank you for posting this slide. Many remember Mandela as a leader of both peaceful protest and armed resistance against the white minority oppressive regime in a racially divided South Africa. His actions landed him in prison for nearly 3 decades and made him the face of the anti-apartheid movement, both within his country and internationally. Released from prison in 1990, he participated in the eradication of apartheid, and in 1994 became the first Black president of South Africa, forming a multi-ethnic government to oversee the country's transition, and became affectionately known as Madiba. And this is a story Madiba shares about and I offer this as an example of embracing the mosaic of life. And the story begins by Madiba saying, "After becoming president, I asked some of my bodyguard members to go for a walk in town. After the walk, we went for lunch at a restaurant. We sat in one of the most central ones, and each of us asked what we wanted. After a bit of waiting, the waiter who brought our menus appeared, and at that moment, I realized that at the table right in front of ours, a single man was waiting to be served. When he was served, I told one of my soldiers to go ask that man to come join us. The soldier went and transmitted my invitation. The man stood up, took the plate, and sat next to me. While eating, his hands were constantly shaking, and he didn't lift his head from the food. When we finished, he waved at me without even looking at me. I shook his hand, and we walked away." The soldier asked, "Madiba, that man must have been very sick, as his hands would not stop shaking while he was eating." I replied, "Not at all. The man was a guardian of the jail I was locked up in. Often after the torture I was subjected to, I screamed and cried for water. And he came to humiliate me. He laughed at me, and instead of giving me water, he urinated on me. He wasn't sick. He was scared and shook, maybe fearing that now that I was the president of South Africa, I would send him to jail and do the same thing he did with me, torturing and humiliating him. But that's not me. That behavior is not part of my character nor my ethics." And this was a key part that really resonated with me. He says, "Minds that seek revenge destroy states, while those that seek reconciliation build nations. There is no passion to be found in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living." After retiring from politics in 1999, Mandela remained a devoted champion for peace and social justice in his nation and worldwide until his death in 2013 at the age of 95. And so embracing the practice of leaning into imperfection, the takeaway from this story and the practical life application I offer this morning is forgiveness and letting go. Forgiveness is a powerful spiritual practice that releases resentment and judgment towards ourselves and others. And I had a slight experience of this yesterday. I was on my way to participate in an ordination event for a fellow ministerial colleague. And leaving out, and the event was in San Jose. So leaving out, I thought I had allowed myself enough time to drive there and get there on time. I encountered traffic almost immediately getting on the freeway here in Monterey. And I couldn't imagine what was slowing things down. And there were certain points on the freeway where I could see up ahead and I could see one car that was driving really slow, and the traffic could not move around this particular car. So immediately I went into judgment about the driver's behavior. And it's like, don't you recognize I have some place to be? I have some place to go. I have a time limit. So, all of this is going on in my head. And then as traffic began to open up a little bit, there were other examples of what I was defining as erratic drivers. It's like, get off of my road, get out of my way. I was in full-on judgment about the behavior of the other drivers. And then it came to me, each person, just like you, is having their own unique experience. They're headed towards a destination just as you are headed towards a destination. Let go of the judgment. Let go of making someone else wrong. Concentrate on being right here, right now, and being in the flow of things as they are. And so when we let go of the need for perfection and embrace the inherent imperfections in ourselves and in those around us, we have the opportunity to practice forgiveness, and we also remember our self-worth and our worthiness. The practice of forgiveness allows us to cultivate compassion and create space for growth and transformation. And this leads us into our affirmation for the morning, which we began with. There is nothing in me but God. And I'm going to invite us to say that together, but I want us to do a little practice, if you will. If you're willing, rest your hands very gently on your chest so that you feel the vibration of your voice. And now let us say our affirmation together. There is nothing in me but God. Let's say that again. There is nothing in me but God. Feel that vibration. Allow that vibration to carry you through the remainder of this day. And if you're willing, use that as a mantra. There is nothing in me but God. And I am worthy by the mere fact that I was born. Let us pray together. I know there is nothing in me but God, and this is true for all people in all places. We're connected through our imperfections, our flaws, forming a unique tapestry of life. And in this tapestry of life, we appreciate and we embody the uniqueness that all of the pieces are included. No one is excluded from this tapestry of life. No one is excluded because of a gender identity or a sexual preference, or the color of their skin, or their political ideology, or the place where they live. And we could go on and on and on and list all of the variables. But in the tapestry of God's life, this one life, everyone and everything is included, and for this I am so grateful. And so I speak my word this morning, recognizing that as we practice oneness and wholeness and connectivity, that everything flows in divine, right, and perfect order, and that we are lifted into that place where we recognize that this world works for everyone exactly where they are. And it's by right of consciousness that we can change the direction of this world right here, right now, by recognizing when there is peace in my heart, there is peace in my mind. And when there is peace in my heart and peace in my mind, the essence of God, the presence of God flows through me and flows through each one, bringing together an idea of unity and oneness that also recognizes the unique diversity in the tapestry of life. I speak my word this morning, celebrating those who are gathering in the name and nature of oneness and wholeness and connectivity, recognizing that there are many paths and each path has its own set of ideologies and practices that makes it unique. And yet all paths are leading us to that source, bringing us from this material experience back into the perfection of wholeness as the spiritual beings that we are. I speak my word of blessing this morning for those who are experiencing life's transitions, however those transitions may be showing up. I speak my word for families who are experiencing the transition of loved ones who have moved from the visible into the invisible, knowing that life continues. It just merely has changed forms. And so I'm knowing that there is peace in the hearts of each one. As I recognize the transitions that are taking place in my own life, the direction that my life is taking from one point to another point, I give thanks for the flow and for the ease and grace and the compassion that I give to myself. And I know as this is true for me, it is true for all beings. The grace and the compassion that we give to ourselves adds to the dimension and the quality of life that says, there is nothing but me. There is nothing in me but God. There is nothing in me but God. And so in deep gratitude for this and so much more, I release this word back into that law, which always says yes, just allowing it to be. And if any of what I've said resonates with you in any way, please affirm it as we say together, and so it is. And so it is. And as we begin to prepare for our graceful giving, for our offering, I am excited to share with you this morning that we reached our goal of $1,000 for the, for the new computer. And there's something that's telling me that there is more that is on the way that has not arrived yet. And so what I want to share with you this morning is that the practice of the practice here at our Monterey Center for Spiritual Living is that wherever we engage in a special appeal for a special project, any monies, any funds that are received that exceed the amount of the appeal are designated for future needs related to that appeal. For an example, my computer. Anything over the $1,000 will be set aside or earmarked for additional technology support, for technology improvements, for enhancements. So we just are grateful. I am very grateful for the way that you so lovingly respond. And also just a reminder that as we move deeper into our summer months, that your support for our center continues. And the cost to expand our online presence and the overall operation and maintenance of our center does not take a vacation. So this is a reminder to just include the center in your summer spending plans. Let us say together now our affirmation of abundance. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so as the greeter and the usher passes the basket here in the center, we again thank you for the ways that you continue to support our community. Your mail-in donations are appreciated, and that address is on our screen. You may text to give at 831-246-9694, and you may also contribute through our website, montereycsl.org, and click on the donate button. And while you're on the website, just a reminder to sign up for our newsletter if you are not currently a subscriber. And I want to thank you also for reading the newsletter. Received information a couple of weeks ago that our readership is increasing. And so thank you for not only subscribing, but for reading and keeping current with what is happening here at our Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. Would like to let you know that for the next 2 Sundays, I will be away on a spiritual retreat. And we have guest speakers. Our staff ministers are coming in to, Reverend Cindy Harp is coming in and will be present here with us on next Sunday. And on the 28th of July, which is the last Sunday in the month, Reverend Tony Bradfield will be joining us virtually from Palm Springs. Tony is our outreach minister living in Palm Springs. And so I'm excited to bring our staff ministers in and to have them share this good news and their reflections on this idea of imperfection that we are reviewing this month. And so we say good morning to our virtual community that is viewing us on Facebook and on YouTube. And we do invite you to join us next week. Reverend Cindy's topic will be imperfect practices. And again, just a reminder to like, share, and subscribe to our page and to make a comment. And comment, three words in the comment triggers the algorithms to give us more of a presence so that when people are scrolling through Facebook or YouTube, the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living will pop up in their feed. And so we appreciate you doing that, supporting us in getting this message that God is all there is, and there is nothing but God in me out to the universe. So thank you for that, and we appreciate you, and we love you.